But I just never took my career seriously. I was stuck being a child. So I crashed and burned a lot because you want everything tomorrow. Like I want to be a Marvel star tomorrow. And if it doesn't happen tomorrow, then I get lazy and then I get resentful and then I get depressed. And all of a sudden you realize you spent 6 months doing nothing but gaining weight and feeling sorry for yourself and not pushing forward at all in a positive way. And over the last couple of years, it's like learning like the universe is working for you and with you.
This is a Pink Boots production.
We're here to laugh, we're here to cry, we're here to share what's deep inside. But on all the days, all the time, we are more than you see.
Hi everyone, welcome back to More Than You See, where Shelley and I have conversations with creatives about their mental health journeys. As a reminder, we aren't licensed practitioners or therapists, but hopefully in sharing our own struggles and victories, we can help you feel a little less alone and add some tools to your mental health toolbox. Hi everyone, welcome. We are so excited to have a very special guest, and Shelley's going to tell us all about it.
Yes, I am so excited to have one of my dear friends here with us today on the podcast. His name is Matt Shively, and you might know him from some of his acting work. He started as a Nickelodeon kid on True Jackson VP, and he went on to play the series regular role of Jimmy O'Neill on ABC's The Real O'Neals, and most recently, you may have seen him as series regular Quentin on NBC's Lopez versus Lopez. I call him a friend, and small worlds colliding. He went to high school with Deborah, and now he is here to talk with us on More Than You See.
Woo! Yeah, I have to say this may be in my like top 5 conversations that we've ever had. I think that having someone on, it's really fun because our last interview was with Viv. And so, having someone on who like did the child acting thing and then now is in the, ripe old age of 35. We talk about that a lot. And like being in your 30s.
Which is just dead in Hollywood. So.
Totally dead. Dig a grave. And it's one of those things where it's like being able to talk with him about like life over such a long career, but also, I mean, it's like 20 years he's been in the industry.
And highs and low lows. He has experienced the gambit of the emotional roller coaster within the industry. And so it's a real pleasure to have him share with us today.
Yeah. Without further ado, here's Matt.
Hello, Matt.
Hi, Shelley. Hi, Shelley.
This is.
By the way, I thought there was going to be a lead up to it. Like I thought you were going to be like, "Hi, welcome to the show." Blah blah. Today we have Matt. So you just came right in with.
Nope.
I got so nervous.
We do that. We do that in post, baby. We're hopping right in. Welcome to our podcast here at More Than You See. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, we always start with the question, "How are you doing?" But we want the real answer. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing fairly good. It's life is as you both know, life is a weird thing that goes in phases, and right now we're in a transitional phase, and it's exciting, but I'm good today.
Good.
That's good. I mean, honestly, that's all we can do is like good day. Yep. If it's a good day, it's a good day. Because tomorrow, who fucking knows what's going to happen?
I say we dive right into the transitional phase. If you want to go straight through it, let's go. So Matt was a series regular on an incredible show, Lopez versus Lopez on NBC. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry, it's as such as the industry, the show got canceled. And that's such a bummer.
What?
I'm sorry.
Don't you dare.
It got canceled?
Live on air.
I got a text.
I got to make some calls.
I got a text from George.
Hey, let Shively know. Yeah.
So I assume that's the transitional phase that you are referring to.
I think it's a combination of things. For whoever's listening, like Deborah and I have known each other since high school, and Shelley and I have known each other ever since high school was done. And so, as you guys know, I'm like almost 35 years old, and it's been a culmination of like all the things at once kind of ending, like realizing that friendships are a scarce thing when you start to get to this point because everybody's just headed in different directions, and my manager just moved and the show got canceled. So it's just been like an overall like very kind of universal test for myself of like, okay, how do we handle it now that we're grown-ups? So
I don't know how you're 35, Matt, because then that means I'm older than that, which is not possible. So
I don't know what happened. I by the way, the whole 2020 COVID into the strike into everything like that, like 30 to 35 just doesn't count. It shouldn't count because it felt like one full year. Like I'm like, what happened to my early 30s? Where did it go?
For sure.
That's fair. How was your COVID? What was your coping skills during that time?
Food and alcohol. I ate my weight in myself. I gained about 30 pounds, and I watched every episode of every season of Love Island, which is 60 episodes a season, and I went through every single one of them. So
that's huge dedication, though.
Yeah. Well, I had to commit to something, and Love Island felt like the thing to commit to. So
what'd you learn?
Yeah.
I learned how to have a bit of banter. That's their term is banter. You want to have a little banter? No, I learned that I could somehow be entertained by people literally just talking to each other for hours. Like nothing happens in that show except for like the last 5 to 10 minutes. It's all just literally people flirting with each other the entire time. It's a problem.
Oh, flirt
well,
fest. I've never seen
what podcasting is. So
yeah, true.
Welcome to the banter. Well, how are you making it through this time right now of all these phases and, endings and things like that? It's a hard thing for any of us to go through, and I know it's a universal experience, but are you still doing the drinking and the watching Love Island?
So that's one of the things that I've learned, because this isn't the first time that I've done something that's been canceled. I've unfortunately been through it a couple times now. So I know, especially like doing that show, I grew as a person in like I hadn't grown that much in my entire life, and I really kind of saw what I wanted my future to be, and I started to learn who I really was and all that kind of stuff. And so this coming to an end, I was prepared for it. I didn't think we were going to come back, so it wasn't like a super shock. It didn't hurt as much because I was prepping myself for that. But I also know what my vices are when these things happen, and so then I know how to avoid them. So I haven't drank since the show got canceled, because even though I'm not depressed, I know like subconsciously it will, once I start feeling drunk, I'll be like, all right, now we're free. Let's forget everything. And then I wake up the next day regretting it all. So I'm trying to do the opposite of what I usually would do during these times. So I'm just trying to stay as busy as possible, writing and creating and all that kind of stuff. But
I love that. You. I love hearing in real time, and it's been such a treasure, if you will, to have watched you grow in the amount of time that we've known each other. Since 2018, I think. So I don't math very well, but I
think it was 2017 actually.
2017. Okay,
yeah, that's towards the end of the 2017. It's almost 10 years.
10 years.
We've passed the 7-year hump, which means we're going to know each other for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of evenings with groups of friends, partying and getting drunk and all that. And we've definitely hit that phase. I think our bodies don't react well to that anymore. No.
It's do I want one night of fun for 5 days of a hangover? Absolutely not. It's not worth it. My body does not recover. My mental does not recover. It's mentally, it's like a 2-week thing. And that's like 5 drinks, and I'll be like, it's still, now my body's like, what are you doing?
I was actually talking earlier about that phrase, you learn the hard way. And I was sort of wondering, do you think, we obviously have grown up, and you get to a certain point where the vices, as you were saying, like they don't work the way they used to. So you're, putting your energy in more creative fields. Do you think we learn the easy way or the hard way better?
Well, I think it's hard to say because I've learned the hard way so much that it just gets harder. Like, so it's like it's like I learned the hard way and I'm like, oh, and then like a month or two later, I kind of repeat the same problem and then it just becomes harder. So it's like, I don't know. I would say I learned better the hard way, but I also am a slow learner. Deborah went to high school with me. She knows this. And I did not leave that in the past. That I carried with me beyond high school, which was taking my time learning even when it's something bad.
For sure. I'm curious, like, because I feel like if I have something that I know is coming where, like, for example, if I have like a film premiere or if I have something that's like exciting coming up, I know that I'm going to have this high and then I'm immediately going to have a like low the next day where I'm like, oh, fuck. Like I just don't have that same dopamine experience. So I'm curious what it's like for you because I have not had the pleasure of being on, show, even one show that you're like on for multiple years and then you finish wrapping, it comes out, you're like, watching the reviews come in, and then there's the like waiting period about whether or not it gets picked up again. So like, first of all, bravo for having the like mental fortitude in order to be able to handle those ups and downs of being like every day, who knows, like today are we going to get canceled like or continue on, like, it's just, and I'm sure that it's, you get to a point where it's not a like every day, who knows if we're going to get canceled, but how does that go for you? And what is it like to be in that waiting period all the time?
It sucks. It's so funny because it's like again, I think overall this is the third time that I've done something for longer than like one episode, and I've been a regular and it's kind of lasted more than a year. So the first time around when it was the Nickelodeon days and I was 18, 19, 20, it was like pure devastation. I'm never going to work again. And that takes forever to recover from. And then in the middle, it was like I was 25 and I was doing one that was 2 seasons, and that was another one where it was like, it was constant. Are we going to get canceled? Are we going to go? Like, what's going to happen? And so when that one ended, I actually found out that one ended. I had done a pilot as well that year, and I found out that one ended and the pilot didn't go within 5 minutes of a phone call. And so again, it like you spiral out of control. But I think third time around, it's like it's still that the dopamine hit of like I'm sitting there, like I know it's coming in the next day or two. I know we're going to hear about it. But the one thing that I'm realizing like the most out of all of it is like it's never enough. Like I always thought like, okay, once I get a pilot, like it'll be fine. Like I'll be good. I'll be set. And then you get the pilot, you do the pilot, and then you go, oh wait, it has to get picked up. So then you sit and you wait and you're like, okay, can it get picked up? And then it gets picked up and there's the explosion of excitement, but then you go straight to work and you're like, can we just last more than a few episodes? Like, so it's, and then it's, do we get another season? And then it's, do we get 22 episodes or do we get 9 episodes? What are we doing? So it's like, there's always something more that you're wanting from it. I've realized through time, it's like I always have to keep myself busy so that the moment those times end, like I have other things that I'm trying to do. And like Deborah, I know you write a lot. And Shelley, like I know you guys do that. Like that to me is actually so much more fulfilling than waiting for these, because it's literally like it's the only thing I can control, which is writing what I want to write, doing what I want to do. And so implementing that into the fray of dealing with all of these things has actually helped a lot, because it's like, oh, at least I have this thing that I'm creating that means something to me. And so it softens the blow of the hurry up and wait game.
For sure.
That's awesome. And I want to take it back because you said something about being a Nickelodeon kid, which obviously you have been in this industry since your teenage years. What was when you started acting or when you started pursuing the LA acting industry, what was your goal at, 15 years old versus what you're saying your goal now and your more fulfillment goal and desires of 35? What was that mindset coming into it at that young age?
15, I just wanted to be Shia LaBeouf. At 35, I just want to survive. I always used to tell my mom, like, the second this stops being fun, I don't want to do it anymore. But when it becomes your profession, it becomes the only thing you do get to that point where, like, sometimes it's not fun. but you have to keep going because it's what you do. But at 15, it was, this is the thing, I'm going to say a hot topic. I don't think anybody under the age of 18 should go and be an actor and be on a show and all that. I think it is it's so not good for your mental, because every single person I've worked with who started at a young age or was at a young age at that point, like, they don't turn out to be great people. Either they are given too much and then feel entitled, or they're not given what they think they're owed and they become monsters. So it's difficult because, like, going back to that, I'm like, I don't think anybody should be doing television before they're 18. Like, looking back on it over these past couple of years, I'm like, dude, I moved out on my 18th birthday to go be an actor in a studio apartment. And, like, I didn't go to college and I didn't build a real routine of life, like learning what a routine is. I spent 2 years until I was 21 doing, a Nickelodeon show, taking it for granted the entire time because it was like, I just wanted to hang out with my friends. And then, it all ends and, like, everything goes away and you're back to square one. You're not being offered things, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it destroys your whole world because you're like, what do I do now? I'm like, all the years that I was supposed to be building a routine of what it's like to be an adult, I completely threw out the window. So then I spend the rest of my 20s trying to catch up to this when you're in a city where everybody's stuck in the same place. And unfortunately, like, for me, like, I gravitated towards the partying aspect of it because that was the escape from the fear of never working again and things like that. And I learned the hard way. But now I see it all, and I have since, the past couple of years, and it's been a very eye-opening couple of years of just knowing, like, it's not a safe thing to become a child actor because unless it works out for the rest of your life, like, it's not going to be easy. Like, it's just not. So it's a dangerous game we play.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, I was reading an article, this was like a couple years ago, but it was about child actors and singers and just creatives in like the public space, and how our brains don't fully function until we're 25, or they don't fully form until we're 25. And the reason that there's so much, like, drug abuse and overdosing and stuff with kids under 25 is because when you are performing at a young age, your dopamine levels actually shift. So your brain gets used to a higher level of dopamine than a normal person. And so then people take drugs and take other, altering substances in order to keep chasing that high that they get from being on screen or performing in some capacity. And like drugs, like anything else, they only work so long. And then, so it's just one of those things where you keep chasing a more and more high, and then it ends up, all crashing and burning. So I'm curious, like, did you have you've obviously done a lot of reflection, which is, like, so mature.
Have I crashed and burned many times?
Well, I mean, a little bit, yeah. You're crashing and burns.
I want to circle back and say that movie Better Man, the Robbie Williams movie. Did you guys see that?
I haven't seen it yet.
There's a scene at the end of the movie where he's, like, in AA and he's talking, and he says something that, like, really stuck with me about how, like, the day someone becomes famous is the day they stop growing. So if you're 16 years old and you hit stardom at 16, at 26, the odds are you're going to be just the same way. Because at that point, there's no expectation to grow as a human because that person became famous and that's who we want. So then it's like, give you everything. You're the most important thing in the world. And then 10 years later, when it dies out, you're stuck still being a child and being forced to grow up and learn things for once. Or you just continue to be an absolute monster. So I always circle back to that because I, like, think about that. I'm like, that's so true. Like, I didn't grow from 18 to 30. I stayed exactly the same. I was doing the same thing over and over. I crashed and burned plenty of times. I can go back to high school. Like, I remember back in high school, my freshman, sophomore year, I was the biggest dickhead because
I wasn't going to say it.
No. I was the biggest dickhead because I was, like, allowed to go to Scotland. I was like one of the leads of the play sophomore year. And I'll never forget, How to Succeed in Business. First night, opening night, I walk out, my voice is gone. And I walk off stage and I'm bawling my eyes out. And then the next year I like didn't get cast in the play. And that was like the biggest ego check. So I luckily learned the ego thing back in high school and never became an asshole beyond that. But I just never took my career seriously. I was stuck being a child. So I crashed and burned a lot because you want everything tomorrow. Like I want to be a Marvel star tomorrow. And if it doesn't happen tomorrow, then I get lazy and then I get resentful and then I get depressed. And all of a sudden you realize you spent 6 months doing nothing but gaining weight and feeling sorry for yourself and not pushing forward at all in a positive way. And over the last couple of years, it's like learning like the universe is working for you and with you. And so I always like to create points of reference where I'll do the opposite of what I usually would do. And then I see what good comes from that. And 9 times out of 10, great things come from it. So it's really like, it's just a slow process of learning how to like slow down and recognize that like the unknown isn't as terrifying as it used to be. It's more exciting because who the fuck knows what happens tomorrow? Why can't it be the greatest day of all time? Like, but when you get resentful and stuff, you end up kind of bringing yourself down and one bad thing leads to another. And I've tried to get better at that, but yeah, crash and burn plenty of times. It's an ugly sight. I'm a flawed human.
This is an interesting topic because you both know each other from high school. I've always been interested. Matt, you've kind of touched on what it was like to be a child star and you're going to school. But Deborah, what is the perspective of a schoolmate when someone is on a show and then they're coming back and forth to school? So was it true? Did you think Matt was a dick, or and then vice versa? What did you think of Deborah?
To be clear, I didn't really work until I graduated. So I wasn't,
okay.
but I still carried the ego like I did at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, I was 3 years older. So I was in college. I remember How to Succeed in Business, and I remember that opening night because I think was my sister. I don't know, but I remember being there. But I think I was already in college at that point, or maybe we were in school for 2 years. I don't know. Anyways, but honestly, it's one of those things where like I remember Matt being like a little pipsqueak. I remember.
Oh, wait, Deborah, people refuse to believe that I was like 5 foot until I was 17. I was the tiniest fucking person.
So tiny.
I didn't know
I had
that.
a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
but
the
it was
ego. Okay, I'm getting it.
for
Lord
sure.
Farquaad.
But it was one of the, like, there was a lot of egos in theater. What can I say?
Yeah.
So like,
Sure.
I think honestly for me, the biggest thing that I remember from Matt was me being like I had no concept that acting could turn into a career. Like I did not honestly realize, like even watching you have that experience, Matt, like I didn't realize that until I was in Australia listening to a podcast with Bob Odenkirk where he was talking about how he had been struggling for 25 years and he's just like making his connections and doing his thing, and then finally one of his friends got him the audition, and then that, Breaking Bad, and that's what blew up his career. And it was one of those things where I was like, I could fucking do that. I've got friends. I'm a good actor. Like, of course I can, and that was literally like, that was 10 years ago, actually in like a couple weeks where I moved back to LA, and I was like, okay, let's fucking go. But before that, I mean, living in the part of LA where we lived, there's not celebrity there. Like people, like we would come into LA to go to the Amundsen to watch Lion King, but like otherwise you don't go to LA. It's like dirty and gross. So it was for sure something where I remember being like, oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I've heard, but I also didn't watch cable. So it's not like I was watching, it's not like I even had the concept of Nickelodeon. I was like, oh, Matt, that pipsqueak who was a really good actor. Like he was very talented. And now he's on this show, I've heard. But, there wasn't some like real, but it was definitely one of those things where then, watching your career, and we've had a couple points, Matt, where we've almost like collided, because I don't know if you know, but I reached out to you in like 2018 because I was producing a movie with Anna Camp, and she had just shot a movie with you. And I reached out to you on Facebook to be like, "Hey, Matt, are you interested in auditioning to play her brother?" And that was you never wrote back to me for whatever.
I'll tell you right now, by the way. No, hold on, because I do want to explain this. This is a very upsetting thing. In 2000, I think it was the 2016 when Trump won the first time. Okay, yes. I literally got off Facebook. I deleted my Facebook account. Okay. And it wasn't until about 5 or 6 years later when my grandmother hit me up and was like, "You never respond to me on Facebook." And I was like, "Grandma, I don't have Facebook anymore." Apparently it never got deleted because like I go into like my spam folder on Gmail and it says that I have like messages on, but I can't go on it because I delete it. So I don't know what Facebook did, but I never saw that. I wouldn't have blown you off even if it wasn't Anna Camp. I would have responded.
I mean, it was a pretty good movie, but no,
this connection all could have been made like 3 years earlier.
I know.
If you were just in that movie, Matt.
I know. It's true, crazy. But I mean, it was one of the it was very enjoyable for me to like watch you grow and watch you continue to like have these successes. And at least from the social media side of things, which we know is all bullshit, it seemed like everything has been, going really well, and you've been learning and growing, and you've never shown your crashing and burning. So I'm proud of you, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I want to circle back to 2017, I guess. So Matt and I met doing probably his favorite project he's done, which is the parody musical of Jennifer's Body.
You're saying that as a joke, but it really was like...
Was it really?
Just, I hadn't been on stage since high school.
Well, that's what I wanted to circle back to. Of you, obviously, were doing theater in high school, and you've done a lot of television. So you love theater. Is that a goal of yours?
I would do theater over anything else, I think, any day of the week. Because there's no, like... And I always tell people, like, I went back to Charter Oak and I, like, spoke to the class then. And I was like, that feeling when you're the first time you're about to walk out on stage and you literally feel like you're going to fall off a bridge. Like, life's about to end because this is going to go as horribly wrong as possible. And you walk out there and the adrenaline and the rush and you get the first line out and then all of a sudden you just rest into place. I was like, if you're not chasing that feeling at all times, then you're not doing like what you should be doing in life. Like that is a feeling that no matter how many times I do perform on stage, it never goes away. Whereas like doing Lopez or doing shows like that, when you get into a rhythm, like you start forgetting that you're performing and it becomes kind of mundane and repetitive. And then all of a sudden you go, "Oh, wow, I've done 3 episodes and I haven't really thought about like there's no the fear is gone." And I love that fear because that fear, I think, brings out the best in you when you are performing. And so, yeah, I loved being on stage. And that was like Jordan Ross was constantly asking me, but I was terrified because I was like, I've sang, in high school, and up until the last thing that I sang, my puberty had not hit. So that voice isn't even the same. And like, I'm not a singer really, but it was like anything to get on stage. Like I don't care what it is. I just love being on stage. There's no greater feeling than performing. I love
that. I didn't realize that that meant so much to you. I guess that's really cool.
Oh my God, it was like a proof thing for myself. Like I was like, I don't know if I can do it anymore. I hadn't done it in 10 years. And so that was like a moment where, and I still remember like the first duet I had with Lindsay. I was like, first night, I got sick and I had to go to the emergency room and they gave me a shot in my ass. And then I got on stage. And the moment I got on stage, every bit of moisture in my entire body decided we're done for the day. And my mouth was like cracking and I was like, "Pizzas!" And I was like, this is the worst performance of my life. But you know what? I'm proving something to myself. I'm getting out there. Who cares?
That's
Shelley, you were like the theater connector because the show that we're doing right now, that is the first time I've been on stage since high school.
What's the feeling? How are you feeling?
It's incredible. I am so hooked. I'm so mad that I did improv in college, but like it's the best. I'm like having the most fun ever.
That's awesome.
And
I completely agree.
Awesome.
That's why I love theater too, Matt, of that rush of you never know what's going to happen because it's live and anything could happen. The lights could go out. You still have to do the show, or, that feeling
about
of
how much
uncertainty.
Think about how much you don't trust yourself. Like, think about how all day, every day, we're sitting there and we have to make a choice about something, and we can spend all day trying to make that choice only to make the wrong one, whatever. When you go out and perform, you literally, it's like the only time where you're truly going, all right, take the lead. Like, whatever happens from here on out, like, I'm being John Malkovich. I'm watching it, and I'm gonna fully trust you, body, brain, everything. You know what you're doing. Go for it. And it's like you're fully trusting yourself in a terrifying situation in front of people. There's a power in that for sure.
Absolutely. And I think there's definitely a translation over into life experience from theater as well. This is why everyone at PSA should do theater.
I was gonna say, I mean, like the translation for people who have zero desire to get up on stage and potentially make a fool of themselves is like the humanity that theater offers, the connection with both your, scene partner, but also, I mean, you can feel the energy in a room when you're performing. And I think that is something that we are, as a society, getting away from being so much on screens, having, like hangouts are now like digital and virtual and all that bullshit. And I think that like, as our society, we briefly like had a little bit of like fuck AI before we got onto this conversation. But I mean, it is one of those things where I'm like, the more that we are leaning into computers and allowing computers and technology to take over our lives, the more that we are losing like this in-person connection. And that is the demise of society, I think, because we have more empathy for people. You connect with people better. It is, and you also see other people's experiences, not in a like selected way, because it's not like I'm only going to connect with Matt and Shelley. It's like I'm going to connect with Matt and Shelley and 200 strangers and see what their experience is. And I just think that like the takeaway from all this is I'm like, let's go out and like do scary things and do scary things in real life, in real time, because that is the only way forward for us to like mature and grow up in the world. And like, I am terrified for kids who are not, having that experience because it's highly problematic. Soapbox off.
Well, Matt, we're excited to have you on right now, and because we're in June, and we were talking earlier that June is Men's Mental Health Month. And so I wanted to throw over to you as a man.
Yes.
One, kind of where did your mental health journey get started? Is that something that was always prevalent in your young adult life, or is that something that you've come into in more of your mature age in your 30s? And why do you think speaking on men's mental health specifically is important?
Well, I got more into kind of like deeper therapy than just like going and talking to somebody. Like I found something that was someone that was a little more tailored to what I was looking for, which kind of opened my eyes. Like I don't remember a lot from the time I was 0 to 10. And so I always kind of looked back at those years and was like, those don't really matter. I don't really remember them. I remember everything after that, and that's kind of what molded me. And I didn't realize that it's those 10 years that form the deepest core values that you have based on what you see. And I didn't have a great childhood. There was divorce, there was arguing, yelling, there was a lot of stuff like that. And so kind of taking a step back and seeing where a lot of my issues come from, as far as I've always had an issue like letting go of people, because when I was 6 years old, I think it was hammered into my brain that like nobody loves you. Everybody's going to leave you. This is the way life is. And you slowly in time forget about that. but it lives in the back of your mind. And so then you subconsciously are constantly trying to hold on to things that don't service you. But I think for most men, I think it goes back to those 10 years of how you're presented. I'm a very empathetic, caring person. I don't like stepping on people's toes. I don't like making people feel uncomfortable. And I usually will make myself uncomfortable in order for somebody else to feel more comfortable. And I know that comes from my mother, because that's how my mother raised me. Whereas if my father had raised me from that time, I think I would be, not because he is, but I think I would just be more chauvinistic, and I would have more of this masculine, like, we don't, I don't need to feel. All I need to do is, live my life. I don't care. Whereas like my mother really kind of was like, you need to feel at all times. And to maybe my discredit, it's like I tell everybody how I feel at all times. And so I'm maybe a little different because I'm an open book. Like I never hold back how I'm feeling. And I wish that all of us could do that, because like, that's the other thing, is like how much we all like won't say anything if we're not happy with something. Like I just had this conversation with my friend the other day where he was doing something I didn't like. And I was like, you shouldn't do that. And he was like, oh, wow, why don't you just tell me how to live my life? And I said, listen, I won't ever tell you how to live your life, but if it affects me in a negative way, then I have every right to say how I feel about it. And it's like, that should be common for everybody. Like if you have an issue with something, just say it right away. Because if you don't, it builds and it builds and it builds, and then it explodes. And it's like, so when it comes to men's mental health, I think a lot of it goes back to those first 10 years. And it's really like how you were raised. It's the values that you were presented then, and that just kind of stick with you for the rest of time. And if you're not open to growth, then you'll never get there. And I think we all know those people who are like, they want everybody else to change, but the second you say there's anything wrong with you, it's no, you're crazy. It's like, but we should be open to the fact that there is positive change in every single one of us at all times. We can be better every day. So yes. It's not an insult that I'm telling you that you're doing something that's not great. It's like a tip. And I'm not trying to be mean. Just think about it for a second, rather than getting defensive. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's what this is all about. And it's so beautiful. And I in recent years, I've always had mental health in my life. I've been in therapy since I was 11 years old. And so speaking on mental health topics has been very commonplace. But hearing you talk about communicating boundaries, really communicating someone else's behavior or how someone else's behavior is affecting you, can be a very uncomfortable place to put yourself in, because you have to leave room for the other person's reaction, which is not in your control. I feel like a lot of people, and as two women, sitting across from a man and not knowing fully in that vessel what that can be like, a lot of people can probably project onto you like, but it's still easy for you because you're a guy. You can do whatever you want, especially in the Western civilization. But I love that you share that. It's like, it's not like that. We can all share and say our pieces, but we still, no matter man, woman, he, she's, they's, like, we still have to deal with the consequences of people's reactions or behaviors. And that's hard to do. That's just a hard thing for any of us to deal with.
Well, I think we forget that there's 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
Like we get so kind of caught up in our own little bubble that we forget that like there's an entire world. It's like to ever think that your opinion or your stance on something is the only correct way, and there's no need to make anything. It's like, it's insane, because there's 8 billion people out there. Like everybody has room to grow for the better. And I think that's like, but it's tough, because at our age, like we're all going through these transitions of trying to figure out what it is that we really want out of life. And the one thing I'm always talking about is like, it's crazy because our generation, in my opinion, is a group of people that like didn't ever lose their way because they never found it, because we were still raised on these traditions that our parents were raised on, which is go to college, get married, have kids, buy a house. If you don't have those things by the time you're 30, you failed. And so you have all of these 30-year-olds who are like, well, I can't buy a house. I can't afford having kids. I don't want to get married because there's a billion people out there and it's so difficult. Like there's porn on phones and there's all this, like what's traditional now? Like, so it's like this whole thing of like we're trying to figure out life, but like with old traditions where it's like everything is new. And the quicker we accept that like we are all individuals who want to, like, we should live our lives exactly as we want to live our lives. There is no deadline for anything. Like it is just about living. And just because you're 34 and you aren't a Marvel star or you didn't, you're not the manager at this company, doesn't mean that you failed and you're never going to get there. It's just like you were just taught that if you didn't have that by 25, then you're probably never going to get it. And it's unfortunate, but it goes with mental health as well. It's like our parents were the first people to really start hearing about therapy. And even they usually are like, no, I don't need to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
It's like, no, everybody needs to go to a therapist. A 10-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 50-year-old, everybody should be going to therapy. And then their parents, you couldn't even begin to tell them how you feel because they're like, shut up. I went to war. Like that's that, period. You're not allowed to
talk about it.
So we're part of this generation that is like, it is the doors opening up to being like, listen, we feel a lot. Sadness is real. Happiness is real. Like feel it as it comes and always try to be better, get better. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. There's nothing wrong with talking to your friends about how you're feeling. And if they don't want to hear it, they're not your friends. So that's that.
And that's the mic drop, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm curious, what are your, besides like surviving with the industry, like do you have life goals for yourself, Matt?
Not really. And I think it's because all of my 20s, I like the only goal was like just work. Like it was just like, I just need the next thing. I just need the next thing. And I like spent my whole 20s like chasing it. And I never really stopped to like I never had a hobby. I never like had it, like it was partying with my friends or sitting on the couch watching movies. There's nothing in between. My goal now in life is just to like remain content and constantly moving forward. Because it's so unknown, because you have no idea, especially in our industry, what happens next. I just don't have this outlook of like, okay, in 5 years, like I need to be here. It's like, no, I just need to live in the now and be better and better as much as I can and continue to write in my journal and continue to read books and to continue to play guitar and golf and all these things. And in time, the world that I want will slowly just kind of build around me. And I'll find myself, in 10 years going, oh shit, this was the goal. Just didn't ever know it. So yeah, I just have an open mind on that. I just want to be content.
We
love
all.
it.
Me too. Let me know when you find it.
I was gonna say, I had 2 therapy sessions today, Matt. I had couples therapy and then I had personal therapy, and this is my 3rd therapy, so this is great. This is exactly what I needed.
We love it.
Oh man,
Matt, I know you love to read. Is there a book that has sort of like changed the game for you? Any book, fiction, nonfiction?
So it's funny. I don't know why. Because Deborah's here, I'm like, she knows how dumb I was. I never listen. It's really a problem. I was always a movie, television guy. Like I'd never read books. I just didn't. I think until December of last year, I probably read 12 books in my entire life, and that accounts for ones in school that I was supposed to read. But since December of last year to now, I've read 17 books. And I'm like addicted to it. And there's a handful of them that I love. The Reincarnation Blues was one that I've read recently, which was absolutely brilliant and kind of encapsulates everything that we're talking about right now, like just living in the moment and enjoying your life as it is. There's a book called How to Stop Time. I don't know if you've read Midnight Library, but it's the same guy who wrote The Midnight Library. You haven't read The Midnight Library, either of you?
No.
Give me a synopsis.
It's about a woman who's decided that like she just doesn't want to live anymore. There's nothing good going on in her life, so she attempts to commit suicide. And she wakes up in the Midnight Library, which is a gigantic library with billions of books. of every decision she could have made. And she can go into like, oh, what would life have been if I had become the marine biologist I wanted to? And she goes into the book. And then if at any point she's disappointed in that life or isn't feeling right in that life, she gets kicked back to the Midnight Library. And she can make as many choices as she wants. Like I said, it's brilliant. But I think this guy, his name is Matt Haig. He wrote that book. But I've read every one of his books now, and like they're all incredible. They all have like a feeling of self-help because he's an author who's gone through pain. He actually has a couple of like actual self-help books, but his fictional stuff is The Life Impossible, How to Stop Time, Midnight Library. Amazing books.
Very cool.
That's
Matt
awesome.
Haig. Look it up.
Check it out.
How do you go about finding your new books?
Well, I read How to Stop Time, and I was like, I'm going to get every one of his books. And so then I did that. I read the other 6, and then I just kind of started looking for similar books. So I found like Anxious People, which led to Reincarnation Blues. I read Whale Fall because they were making a movie out of it, and it just sounded interesting. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time reading this year, and it's been very nice. I didn't realize like how much more fulfilling it is to like read a book than it is to watch a movie because you're creating the world. Like they created it for you, but you're painting the picture. And whereas like everything in movies is right there in front of your face. So it feels like I'm being more mentally conscious of trying to be smarter. So.
And what are you writing? Like, what is that process like?
I think Shelley knows about it. Me and my writing partner, we actually just did a soft pitch yesterday to NBC and Peacock, which went decently.
Nice.
I wanted to write a show because when I was doing Lopez, like working with the kid who played my son on that was like the most fulfilling thing that I've ever had in my career. And I was like, I want to do this every day. If I could have my dream job while also like helping people, that would be awesome. So we made this show about like a 30-some-year-old who represents a generation of people who were never lost. They just never found their way, who goes home, gets 10,000 hours of community service and chooses to spend it at a life skills program for kids with special needs. And it's called The Brighter Side, and I'm in love with it. And one day I'll make it no matter what. And then I'm writing a horror film. We're all over the place.
Might as well.
He's my best friend, and we've been best friends for 16 years, and we finally kind of landed on the same page. And so I'm like, throw everything at the wall. So we're writing 5 different things all at once just to do it. Who knows where any of it goes, if it goes anywhere, but like it's just doing it is fulfilling. So
for sure. It's the journey, the creation. That's awesome.
And what are you in the process of being in that driving seat? Because as actors, we don't normally get to drive or make the creative decisions, and we're all very good at following direction. But to put yourself into the leadership role, is that giving you more excitement these days, or does that cause you anxiety? A little bit of both. What's the feeling, and what are you learning?
It's the closest thing to walking out on stage for the first time, because I'm terrified. Because I spent so much time being a child. It's like this past 2 years of like no, like reshape everything, be the opposite of that. I've put myself, so doing the pitch yesterday, it's like I'm sitting there talking to 3 people who are twice my age, who really don't want to be there. Like they're just doing this as a favor, and just like telling myself, I've always been, every time I get a job, I'm like, I'm just so lucky to be here. I'm so lucky to be here. And I still walk into it with that, but I've also learned to walk into it with like, they're just as lucky to have you. Like you have something to offer them. There's a reason you're here doing this right now. And so when I'm going into these types of things, it's like, it's a little different because, they didn't hire me. I'm trying to sell them something, but it's that idea of like, I'm in this club. I'm a part of this club. You may be way richer and be able to make these decisions, but that doesn't mean that your mind or your creative space is bigger or better than mine. I have something to offer. And so it's a confidence thing, like just trying to fake it till you make it. Like I'm like, if you're prepared, that's the best you can do, and just give them all yourself. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, but it's been 16 years and I've had a lot of very fortunate success, but I've also had a lot of no's. And so it's like, that's 90% of our job is being told no. Once we get used to that, then it just makes life a little bit easier when you're like, you don't take it as personally.
Yeah. I had someone on the podcast last season who is an actor and a writer, and he talked about how if he has a day where he doesn't get a no, then he didn't like push hard enough. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm so uncomfortable. Oh god.
I mean, it makes sense.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. I saw this post of a meme that basically said, if you knew you had 25 failures until your first success or your big success, how quickly would you want to continue failing? And that one has stuck with me for a while, because it's so funny how we all get trapped in this fear of failure. But big or small, we're failing all the time, and we're still here, and we're still successful in so many ways as well. And that's the perspective to take. That's really exciting, Matt. We're fingers crossed for you, and we know that we know it's going to hit no matter what. I love that you're in the flow state and the mindset of you're just going to do it. You're going to get it made no matter what. And it doesn't have to look like a certain way, or it needs to fit a certain mold. It's just something you want to do because it's in your heart and you want to share that. And I think that's the exact place to come from.
Worst case scenario, we'll put it up on stage.
We'll make a musical parody.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
We like to ask some like rapid fire random questions. Are you, Matt, a list maker or procrastinator?
Newly found list maker. Still procrastinating to an extent, but a list usually makes me do it. So I've started the list thing about a year ago.
Good for you.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning person now. Do I elaborate on the answer, or do I just
if you want to?
I'm a morning person. I can't. I used to stay up to like 3 a.m. every day. I can't get past 11 p.m. now. It just can't. That's your.
Do you have
30s.
a morning routine that you?
I do. I'm actually, today was my 45th consecutive day. I have a streak of stretching. I do a 20-minute stretch every morning. I write in my journal. I write in my gratitude journal. I write in my money journal, and I write in my calendar. And then I carry on with my day.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
For you.
And I strive for the morning routine that you have found for yourself, because I am currently in the 3 a.m. club right now.
That's not a bad place to be.
It's not a bad place, but it's not where I want to be. It's not, I don't feel like I'm actively choosing it. It's like I'll get tired at 12:30 and do a nighttime routine, and then all of a sudden 3 a.m. is here. And I'm like, where? Why?
Well,
Go to bed,
you're not
Shelley.
supposed to drink a Red Bull at 12:30. I know that's like the start of your routine.
Is that what I'm doing wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
Oh, man. Matt, this was so great. I'm like, this conversation just made me really happy.
I really appreciate you guys having me on, for real.
We're so thankful that you wanted to come on and share with us. And I'm just going to give a little proud friend moment. I think Matt is one of the funniest comedic actors out there, and just genuine heart. So I know everything that is meant for you is coming your way, and I'm really proud of you, my friend.
Well, I'm going to hold you to it. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to blame you.
We've got it recorded, so we can come right back here and we'll see.
Damn straight.
Shelley, what was your favorite part of that episode? I mean, so much.
I love that guy so much. You know, honestly, my favorite part was, and it's not something that was really said, but it was more of, because I know Matt so well, it's just so thrilling as a friend to see someone have grown so much. We knew each other when we were partying and just trying to impress everybody around us in our 20s. And it's so lovely to have gotten to a place in our lives where that veil is just dropped, and there's no shame in sharing, like, yeah, some parts of life really suck, and I'm in therapy, and this is how I deal with it. And so I've been able to just kind of see this evolution process go on, and to just kind of watch it in real time within this interview was just very beautiful and touching for me. And I loved the men's mental health section that we talked about. I think it's so important, to talk about mental health, but I think it's also important for men specifically to be sharing that they go to therapy, that there is no shame in that. I think it's important for other men to hear that from men. And so I really enjoyed getting to speak with Matt and his journey of therapy and how he has really just grown. It was a very special interview to me. What about you? What was your favorite part?
I've been like processing as he's been talking. I think my favorite part was, talking about when I asked him about goals and him talking about like the intentional, non-goal setting, but like the intentional hobbies and habits that he's building into his day and into his life of things that like make him happy. And this idea that like in 10 years, you're going to look back and be like, oh shit, I created the life that I want. Like that is something that I think that we get stuck in the, minutia of our lives. And it's so, I'm speaking this is my like biggest problem. You could ask my partner.
Absolutely. We're all there.
is that I just, every day I am, trying to like push things forward and do all of these things. And it's very difficult for me to stop and reflect. And I think that he's at a place now where he's just like being very intentional with how he's filling his time, but also, understand that growth and understanding of like, I'm creating the life that I want is just like, it's very empowering. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is like, it's basically, it's all going to be okay. Like, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah,
and I just
it's really powerful
really
to
needed
hear
that reminder.
It's really powerful to hear when someone gets to a place where they stop chasing happiness and they're focused on contentment. And the line is very close, so it has to be that intentional of a journey. So I agree with you on that too. That was a cool part.
Yeah. Well, please let us know like what was your favorite part. Reach out to us either through the podcast itself. You can reach out to us. There's information in the show notes, or reach out to us on Instagram. We love hearing from you. Please do the thing about liking and subscribing and sharing this with friends. It really does help spread the word of mouth. And as, Matt said in the episode, like, and I so agree with him. So thank you for saying it, Matt. Like, these kinds of conversations are so important. And I just really hope that we just continue to grow this podcast, because I think that, we're all struggling and it's really important to have those conversations. Be sure to check out past seasons. We have a lot of really incredible past episodes that you should definitely check out. You can find us on YouTube. All of those links are in the show description. And that's all I got. Shelley, wrap us out.
All right. As a reminder, this is a Pink Boots production, and we want to give a special thank you to Jeff Hepner Music for creating our podcast intro and outro music and all the fun guitar stuff that you're listening to. Thank you to our sponsor, Dermatology Skincare Line. And thank you, of course, to our amazing behind-the-scenes creative team, Jenny Curtis and Keitra Parkman. And we have new episodes that come to you every Tuesday and Thursday. We will see you then.
Remember to be kind to yourself, and remember that you and everyone around you is more than you see. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in a couple days.